we will talk about valuation and split valuation. Before we talk about split valuation, we will revisit some of the topics in valuation. So, what is valuation? We have seen what valuation is in one of the previous chapters when we discussed moving average price and how is moving average price computed. So, what is valuation? Valuation of stock is just looking at how much stock you have and how much is it worth. You are specifically not looking at the quantity, but you are looking at the value. Say, for example, I have 100 pounds of coffee and it's worth, say, $1,100. Now, where is this 100 pounds of coffee? Say, out of the 100 pounds, I have 80 pounds in Chicago and 20 pounds in San Francisco. Now, the value of the goods in the Chicago plant is at a value of $10 per pound, that is 880 multiplied by 10. And say the Chicago plant, the valuation is at $11 per pound, that comes to $220. Right? So the total is 1100 or $1,120, or total is $1,020. Now let me put a question here. In Chicago, the plant Chicago, there are multiple storage locations, right? Like coffee, raw materials, finished goods, baked goods, so on and so forth. Well, technically, you can store coffee in any of the storage locations. Now, can you have a price of $10 here at this storage location and value coffee as $11 in the raw storage location? Is that possible? No. This is not possible. Meaning, valuation, meaning maintaining a value per pound or per piece or whatever the unit quantity is at the storage location is not possible. The lowest level at which you can maintain a unit price or unit cost rather for a material is at the plant level and not at the storage location level. Okay, this is an important concept that you gotta drill into your mind. Valuation is not possible at the storage location level. The lowest org unit at which you can do valuation is the plant. However, at the storage location level, you can maintain quantities. Meaning, there is 100 pounds of coffee here, 20 pounds of coffee here. That differentiation can be done at the storage location level. But valuation or maintaining a unit value cannot be done at the storage location level. And when I say valuation, I'm using two words here: valuation and unit price. This is where some of you might be confused. Valuation, unit price or cost. Valuation versus unit cost. What is the difference? What am I trying to get at? The reason why I mention these two terms is the word valuation can sometimes cause confusion. Meaning, I'm saying that in the Chicago plant, I have $1,000 worth of goods, but I'm saying I would not be able to tell you that the coffee storage location has $800 worth of goods and raw material has $200 worth of goods. It looks a little bit odd, isn't it? You know the quantity, you know the price. Why don't you just multiply that by the price and get a valuation at the storage location level? You could. You could, definitely. But you cannot maintain a different unit cost at the storage location level. You cannot have $1.10 here per pound and you cannot have $1.11 here per pound. However, in the San Francisco plant, you could say that the unit cost is $12 and the unit cost here is say $10. Maintaining a unit cost at a plant level is possible, but at the storage location is not possible. But like I said, you could multiply the quantity with the unit cost and then arrive at the valuation even at the storage location level. No problem. But you cannot maintain a separate valuation, and when I mean valuation, a separate unit cost at the storage location level. SAP does not support that. Now, do we need to maintain a unit cost at the plant level? Well, for the most part, it is done at the plant level. But if you don't want to do it, you don't need to. You could maintain a unit price directly at the company code level. But since manufacturing happens at the plant level, by default, most companies maintain valuation at the plant level. If you want to switch between maintaining plants at the company code level versus the plant level, you can just go to this transaction OX14 and set the valuation either at the plant level or at the company code level. And this is only set once at the beginning of the project and you never change it. As you can see this message, the valuation area cannot be maintained. It's already defined. You cannot change it now. Okay? And like I said, most of the time it is always set at the plant level. Now the next question is, where is this valuation data stored? Okay, the valuation at $10 and 100 pounds is $1,000, right? Quantity multiplied by the unit price. Or in San Francisco, it's $12 multiplied by whatever quantity in there. Where is this valuation data stored? This is stored at an aggregate level in a GL account. So which GL account and what is a GL account? GL account is basically an account Similar to a bank account, internally you have a number of accounts. GL stands for General Ledger. General Ledger. Now, we don't need to go into the details of what a general ledger is and which account, but based off of the valuation class. Now, if you go to MM03, MM03, enter coffee beans, select the accounting view, and enter the plant Chicago 1. You see a valuation class here, right? The valuation class, along with a different set of parameters, determine a GL account, which is an account, which is just a fancy word for an account. An account where we store the value of the total amount of goods. Now, how do I know what the account is? Well, in another lecture, we'll talk about how we arrive at the GL account. But for now, what we're going to do using what is called as account determination or material account determination. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to create a PO and then do a goods receipt and look at the goods receipt accounting document and see which account is being hit. Well, let's find out. Let's go create a purchase order, ME21N, take the PO, go to MyGo and do a goods receipt against that PO. And we want to take that goods into the coffee storage location. Click item OK and then save. Pick up the material document. Go open the material document, MB03, hit enter, and go to the accounting documents. Double click accounting document, and this account right here where you see inventory for raw materials or finished goods, this account right here 300000 is the account valuation is stored. Okay, the account for raw materials coffee is 300000. I'm saying this is the account where the valuation data is stored. This account is also called as a GL account, but for now, don't worry about the word GL. It's just an account. So the question now is, what is the total value of material coffee 01? We said that it's stored in this account, right? The valuation data for a material, which is basically how much or how much worth of goods that we have of a particular material is stored in that account. Okay, so how do we see that? Go to the transaction FS10N. Okay, put that GL account in there. Okay, hit execute. And if you look at the cumulative balances, the balance is 6,755. Now remember, this is not just for coffee. Any material that has a raw material as the type and valuation class as 3000 goes and sits in this account. This is basically a accumulation of the value of all the raw materials in company code US01. It's 6,755. So the total value of raw materials is $6,755. If you want to see the breakup by plant, so how much value of stock is there in a particular plant, you can go to MM03 for that material, say coffee beans, go to accounting view, select your plant, say Chicago 1, and this is the total value 1100. So this account that this material is related to contains a summation or the value of all the raw materials. Now 300,000 for raw materials, maybe another number for finished goods, but that count is going to contain the summation of value for all the raw materials. Now if you want to go view the value material by material, you can just go open MM03, select the material, say coffee, go to accounting view and go to total value. And this, when you select the accounting view, is by plant. So by plant, you know what's the total value, say $1,100 or $2,300. So if you want to know the value of all the raw materials, you can directly go to the account. If you want to understand the value at the plant level, you can go to the material master, select the plant, and find out what's the total value in the accounting view. Now, if a material is valuated or not, now we know that coffee beans is valuated, but if a material is valuated or not is controlled at the material type level. So a material type plus plant, which is basically the valuation area. Remember, it could be the company code or plant. Like I said, most of the time it's always the plant. So at the material type level and plant level, a determination is made if the valuation is purely based at the quantity level or at the value level. Now, this will be done in configuration of the material type. I'll show you that example. But why would SAP allow something like this? Why would it not update quantities or values? Okay, this is update by quantity. This is update by value. Okay, and what happens during a GR? The inventory goes up because it's a receipt. We are receiving goods, so our inventory count goes up, and a corresponding GRIR account goes down, right? But don't worry about this GRIR and inventory. Just understand that your inventory goes up. Okay. Now, for finished goods or FERT material type, think of examples like muffins. These are finished goods, meaning they are manufactured or procured and put on the table, and they're just consumed by the customer directly. As opposed to goods like coffee, which are raw material for the coffee that we make to our customer. Now, in case of finished goods, both the quantity and value are updated, because at any time we need to know what is the quantity and what is the value of muffins. Now, think about raw materials, coffee beans, right? These are raw materials. Well, you could sell coffee beans directly in a bag, but you could also be using coffee beans as raw materials. So, in the context of coffee beans acting as raw materials, we need to know how much quantity we have at any given point in time. I have 100 pounds, 200 pounds, 10,000 pounds. And what is the value? Right? Well, what about situations like UNBW, material type, which is non-valuated? Non-valuated. What about UNBW? Example are coffee cups. Now, most of the time, coffee cups need not be counted. We don't need to care about coffee cups or what is their value. Either because they are very big fishes, they are used all the time, or because they are very low in value. So, most of the time, we don't care about the value, but sometimes we might care about the quantity of coffee cups, because maybe the management wants to know how many coffee cups we have versus how many coffees have been sold, because there is a direct relationship between a cup of coffee and the actual coffee that is being sold. Maybe they just want to track, but most of the time they might not be tracked. But if at all they want to track, they could use something like UNBW material type, and whereby SAP will count how many coffee cups are there, but it doesn't care about the value, because what's the point in caring about the value of coffee cups? It's typically trivial. They are very low value. Now, there is another material type called NLAG. Example, stirrers. This is called non-stock. Remember the difference between non-stock and non-valuated? Non-stock is no stock, no value. And when I mean no quantity or no stock, stock is going to exist, of course. We need stirrers to sell our coffee. But SAP is not going to bother about the stock. That's called non-stock material. And remember, when we create a PR, when we create a purchase order for non-stock materials, you always have to mention a cost center or some other department that's going to take or suck the value of stirrers. And if you go to MMBE, type in stirrers as the material, you'll not get a quantity. Why? Because SAP does not track the quantity of this type of material. Now, where is this configured? Where do you tell SAP that for N lag, don't maintain quantity, for UNBW, maintain quantity? Where do you specify that? Of course, it's under SPRO. So go to SPRO, IMG. Instead of going to material management, go to logistics general. And here, go to material master. Basic settings and material types. Go to material type and define attributes of material type. Go to FERT, FERT, select or double click it. And you see this quantity and value updating. So you're saying that in all valuation areas, you update quantity and update value. And you go to quantity and value updating, and you see that for Chicago plant, the quantity is updated and the value is updated. Now, if you take another material type, say UNBW, double click that and go to quantity value updating. And for the Chicago plant, only the quantity is updated, but the value is not updated. So for a material, if we are going to track the value or the quantity or both, is determined at the material type and plant level, because for certain plants you don't need to track, and for certain plants you might want to track. This is all configured right here.